I quit my job at noon. By evening, I felt lighter than I had in months. No more pretending I didn't notice the way his voice slowed when he said my name. No more catching his eyes across the conference room and wondering if it meant something. Or everything. I told myself leaving was the right choice. Professional distance, emotional safety, a clean break. I didn't expect him to show up at my door that night. The knock was quiet, not rushed, not uncertain, just confident. When I opened the door, there he was, my former CEO, standing under the soft hallway light like he belonged there. Like this moment had been planned long before I ever typed my resignation email. His suit was dark, perfectly pressed, but it wasn't the way he looked that made my breath catch. It was the way he looked at me. Calm, focused, like I was the only thing he could see. "I hope I'm not too late," he said. His voice was low, familiar. And suddenly, every reason I had for quitting felt fragile. "I already quit," I replied, crossing my arms. "There's nothing left to discuss." He didn't argue. He didn't smile. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, like he was studying a detail he already knew by heart. "You quit your position," he said gently. "Not the connection." The word lingered between us. Connection. I felt it again then. The same thing I'd been trying to ignore for months. The quiet pull. The way conversations with him always lasted a second longer than necessary. The way silence never felt awkward. "I came because I didn't want you thinking I didn't notice," he continued, "or that I didn't care." My heart skipped. "You noticed?" I asked, softer than I meant to. His eyes held mine, steady, honest. "I noticed the day you stopped laughing around me," he said. "I noticed when you started keeping your distance. And I noticed today, when you chose to walk away instead of asking me to stay." I swallowed. "I left because it was getting complicated." He stepped closer, not invading my space, just enough for warmth to pass between us. "Some things are meant to be," he said quietly. "Complicated." I searched his face for certainty, for pressure, but all I saw was patience. And something deeper, something real. "I'm not here to convince you," he added. "I just needed you to know. I'm not losing you." The way he said it wasn't a demand. It was a truth. And standing there, with the door still open and my heart wide exposed, I realized something that changed everything. I hadn't quit to escape him. I'd quit to see if he'd follow. And he did. I didn't invite him in right away. Not because I didn't want to, but because I needed a moment to breathe. To understand what it meant that he was standing there, calm and certain, like he already knew how this night would end. "I didn't quit to get your attention," I said finally. He nodded like he believed me. "I know," he replied. "You quit because staying was hurting you." The words landed softly, but they hit something deep. I stepped aside, and he followed me. Inside without a word, not taking control, just sharing the space. That mattered more than I wanted to admit. I leaned against the kitchen counter, folding my arms again. A habit, a shield. "You don't understand what it was like," I said. "Working for you meant pretending I didn't feel anything. Pretending your presence didn't change the room. Pretending I wasn't waiting for your footsteps in the hallway." He listened, really listened. No interruptions, no defense. "I built my career on control," he said after a moment. "But with you, control was never the goal." I laughed softly, without humor. "You have no idea how dangerous that sounds." He took a step closer, still careful, still respectful. "I noticed the way you avoided the elevator if I was already inside," he continued. "The way you stopped meeting my eyes during meetings. You were protecting yourself." I felt seen, completely. "I didn't trust myself," I admitted. "Or you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because feelings grow quietly, and one day they're suddenly too big to manage." His expression softened. Not triumphant, not relieved, just understanding. "I didn't come to pull you back into my world," he said. "I came because I needed you to know something." I lifted my eyes. "When you left today, the office felt empty," he said. Not quieter, empty. Like something essential had gone missing. My throat tightened. "That's not your responsibility," I whispered. "No," he agreed, "but it is my truth." The room fell into a gentle silence. Not uncomfortable. Not heavy. Just full. I turned toward the window, watching the city lights flicker below. I was afraid, I said. Afraid that if I stayed, I'd start needing you. And now? He asked. I faced him again. Now I'm afraid I already do. He didn't rush to reassure me. He didn't touch me. He just held my gaze like he had all the time in the world. Needing someone isn't weakness, he said. But I would never ask you to lose yourself for me. I believed him, and that scared me even more. I don't know what this is, I said honestly. He smiled then. Just a little. Warm. Certain. Neither do I, he replied. But whatever it is, it deserves honesty. The tension in my chest loosened, just enough to breathe. I hadn't walked away because I didn't care. I'd walked away because I cared too much. And now, standing across from him in the quiet of my own home, I wasn't sure walking away was still an option. We didn't move right away. Not toward each other. Not away. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was aware. Like it knew exactly what it was holding. I could hear the faint hum of the city outside, the soft ticking of the clock on the wall, and the steady sound of my own breathing. I expected you to be angry, I said quietly. He looked at me with that same steady calm. About you leaving? I nodded. I was disappointed, he admitted, but never angry. That surprised me. I'd imagined him frustrated, maybe offended, not reflective. I spent the afternoon thinking about every conversation we'd had, he continued. Every moment I should have said more, or less, or something different. I felt a small smile tug at my lips. You? Second-guessing yourself? He returned it, slow, restrained. Only where you're concerned. The air shifted. I walked past him toward the living room, needing space even as I wanted closeness. He followed, keeping pace but never crowding me. It felt intentional, considerate. I kept waiting for you to say something, I confessed. After I quit, a message, a call, anything. I didn't want to push, he said. If you'd left to protect your heart, the last thing I wanted was to pressure it. I stopped and turned to him. But you're here now. Yes, he said simply. Because silence only works when both people believe in it. That landed deeper than I expected. I sat down on the couch, suddenly tired, not physically, but emotionally. He remained standing for a moment before sitting across from me, leaving just enough distance to feel safe, and just close enough to feel everything else. I told myself I was imagining things, I said. The way your attention lingered, the way meetings felt different when it was just us. You weren't imagining it, he replied. My breath caught. I never crossed a line, he added, but I noticed you, and I didn't want to stop. I looked at my hands, my voice softer now. That's why I left, because staying meant hoping. He leaned forward slightly. And hoping felt dangerous? Yes, he nodded like that made perfect sense. Hope is dangerous when it's one-sided. I lifted my eyes to his. Is it? No, he said, it never was. Something in his tone, gentle but sure, made my chest ache. I realized then that the hardest part of leaving hadn't been quitting my job. It had been letting go of the possibility that what I felt was returned. I didn't come here with expectations, he said, only clarity. And what's clear to you? I asked. That whatever this is between us, he said slowly, it didn't end when you walked away. The room felt warmer, smaller, more intimate. I shifted closer without meaning to. He noticed, but didn't comment. I don't know where this goes, I said. He met my gaze, unwavering. Neither do I. A pause. But I do know, he continued. I don't want to pretend anymore. My heart skipped. Neither did I. And for the first time since I quit, the silence between us didn't feel like distance. It felt like the beginning. Neither of us stood up. That felt important. The space between us wasn't empty anymore. It was charged. Every breath felt shared, every small movement noticed. I shifted on the couch, suddenly aware of how close he was, how easily I could reach out if I wanted to. I didn't. Not yet. "You don't have to decide anything tonight," he said softly. "I'm not here to rush you." I nodded, grateful for the permission I hadn't realized I needed. "But I am here," he added, "to be honest." There it was again. That steadiness, that quiet confidence that never pressed, never demanded. It made my heart feel unsteady in the best way. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Anything. Did you ever think about what it would be like if things were different?" His gaze didn't waver. More times than I should have. The admission settled between us, warm and real. "I imagined simple things," he continued. "Conversations without titles, mornings without agendas, seeing you without pretending it didn't matter." My chest tightened. "That sounds dangerous." He smiled gently. It sounded honest. I leaned back slightly, my fingers brushing the edge of the cushion between us. So close now that I could feel the warmth of him. I wondered if he felt it too. "I was afraid," I said quietly, "that if I stayed, I'd lose myself in you." His voice lowered. "And now?" "Now I'm afraid I already have." For the first time he moved closer. Not much, just enough that our knees nearly touched. He stopped there, giving me space to pull away. I didn't. "If I ever make you feel small," he said, "you tell me. If I ever take more than you want to give, you leave." I looked at him. Really looked at him. Not the CEO, not the man everyone listened to. Just him. "You'd let me go?" I asked. "Yes," he said without hesitation. "Because choosing me should never cost you yourself." Something inside me softened completely. The room felt quieter, like the world had stepped back to give us privacy. I became acutely aware of his hands, relaxed, open, resting on his knees. Close enough now that if I shifted just slightly, our fingers would touch. My heart pounded. I moved. Just a little. Our fingers brushed. The contact was brief, barely there, but it sent a warm current through me, steady and undeniable. He didn't grab my hand, didn't pull me closer. He just let it happen, and that made it mean everything. I inhaled slowly. "This feels like crossing a line." He tilted his head, his voice barely above a whisper. "Only if we pretend it doesn't matter." I looked down at our hands, still so close. "It matters." "Yes," he said. "It does." I let my fingers rest against his, fully this time. The touch was gentle, intentional. He responded by turning his hand slightly, not enclosing mine, just meeting me halfway. My breath caught. Nothing dramatic happened. No rush, no urgency. Just two people sitting close enough to feel something real, finally not pretending otherwise. And in that quiet, careful moment, I knew this wasn't a mistake. It was a beginning we'd both been waiting for. We stayed like that for a long while, not speaking much, just letting the quiet wrap around us like a soft blanket. Then he spoke. Not with urgency, not with demand, just words that felt like they were meant for me alone. "I've noticed things about you," he said quietly. "Little things that no one else would see." I looked at him, curious despite myself. "Like how your laughter can fill a room, even when you try to hold it back. Or how you bite your lip when you're thinking too hard. Or the way your fingers tap lightly when you're nervous." His words settled over me, each one soft but deliberate, as if he were tracing my soul with them. "I never told anyone," I whispered. "Not like that." "I noticed anyway," he replied, eyes steady. "And I wanted you to know that someone sees you, really sees you." I felt warmth rise in my chest. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition, the kind that makes your heart feel less alone. "You make it hard," I admitted softly, "to think about anything else." He tilted his head, letting a small smile curl at the corner of his lips. "I'd hope so," he said, "but not in a way that overwhelms, just enough to be noticed." I caught my breath, letting the words settle. There was no pressure in them, no rush. Just the quiet, unshakable attention of someone who wanted to understand me. All of me. I shifted slightly closer, our legs now brushing together. Not enough to be bold, just enough to feel the connection more fully. I didn't expect this, I said. Quitting my job, thinking I'd escape. I didn't expect you to be here. Or this. He reached out gently, his fingers resting near mine but not touching. I didn't come to stop you. I came because I couldn't not be here. Because you matter more than I realized. More than I can explain. I swallowed. His honesty struck me like light through glass. Sharp. Beautiful. I don't know if I can handle this, I said, voice trembling slightly. The way you see me. It's too much sometimes. He leaned just a fraction closer, careful. And yet, you're still here. So maybe that means it's enough. Maybe that means it's worth feeling it. I wanted to argue, to push away the pull that had been growing since the moment he appeared, at my door. But I couldn't. Not really. I'm not sure what I want, I whispered. Then let's start with what we feel, he said. Right now. No expectations, no demands, just this. And for the first time that night, I let myself feel it fully. The quiet, the closeness, the attention, the gentle intensity of him. It wasn't just attraction. It was more than that. It was recognition. It was warmth. It was a connection I didn't know I'd been craving until now. And as I watched him, calm and steady, I realized something undeniable. I wanted more of this, more of him, and maybe, just maybe, he wanted the same. I tried to keep my distance. I really did. Sitting across from him, letting our fingers brush briefly, feeling the warmth that lingered after his words. It was almost unbearable. Almost. I can't stop thinking about you, he said quietly, eyes locked on mine. Since the moment I realized I could lose you, I can't stop. My chest tightened. The confession was soft, but it landed like fire. I wanted to look away. I wanted to tell him to stop. I wanted to protect myself from wanting him as much as I already did. But I didn't. I tried to leave to protect my heart, I admitted, voice trembling slightly. I thought distance would make it easier. He leaned forward slightly, careful, deliberate, giving me space but closing the gap enough that I felt the warmth of him. Distance doesn't protect hearts, he said. It only teaches them how much they can't live without someone. I felt my defenses starting to crumble. You make it so complicated, I whispered, though I wasn't sure if I meant him or myself. He smiled, gentle, patient. Not complicated, honest. And honesty is worth feeling even if it scares you. The tension between us was electric, yet calm. Quiet, yet undeniable. My fingers itched to reach out, to bridge the space between us without asking. His hand rested near mine, a silent invitation. I don't know if I can do this, I said. Feeling like this, needing someone so much. You can, he said softly. Because it's real. Because it isn't something you should resist. And because I'm not going anywhere. The certainty in his voice made my knees weak. I wanted to run, but I also wanted to stay. My walls, the ones I had built so carefully around my heart, began to tremble. I've never wanted anyone like this, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. And yet, he said, leaning slightly closer, here we are. I felt my breath catch. He didn't push. He didn't insist. He simply waited. Let me feel. Let me choose. I don't know if I'm ready, I said. You don't have to be, he replied. All I need is for you to be here, now, with me. That simple request did more than any grand gesture ever could. It stripped away my fear, my hesitation, my carefully measured defenses. Slowly I let my hand move, just enough to touch his. Not bold, not demanding, just a connection, just a start. He didn't pull away. Didn't take more than I gave. Just let our fingers rest together, warm, steady, deliberate. And in that moment, I realized something. I didn't need to protect myself from him. I wanted him. I wanted this. Every glance, every touch, every word. And for the first time that night, I let myself believe that maybe he wanted me just as much. Because when walls start to fall, the heart notices everything. And mine had noticed him. He leaned back slightly, but his eyes never left mine. There was something different about him now. Softer, yet stronger. Honest in a way that made my chest ache. "I've been holding back," he admitted, voice low, measured. "Trying to stay professional, trying to wait for the right moment. But I can't anymore." My heart skipped. "Holding back what?" I asked, barely daring to breathe. "Holding back how much I've thought about you," he said. "Every day, every hour, even when I tried not to. Even when I told myself it wasn't the right time. I couldn't stop thinking about you." I felt my fingers curl lightly around the edge of the couch. My pulse raced in a way I couldn't control. I thought, if I waited, if I stayed quiet, maybe you'd leave. Maybe I could protect myself from needing you. He continued, his gaze unwavering. "But every moment I spent away from you, it only made it clearer. I need you. Not just here, not just now. I need you." The words wrapped around me like a warm, irresistible tide. I wanted to retreat. I wanted to tell him it was too soon, too intense. But the truth was, I didn't want to. "You've made that very clear," I whispered, voice trembling slightly. "And it terrifies me." "I know," he said softly, "because it's not easy, loving someone like this. It isn't, but I'd rather feel everything with you than nothing at all." I felt my lips part, almost without thinking. My hands trembled slightly. "You make it sound inevitable." He smiled, just the smallest curve, and it hit me harder than any grand gesture could. "It is," he said simply. "Not because I demand it, not because I insist, but because when it comes to you, everything else fades. The world fades, and all I can see is you." I couldn't look away. I wanted to, but I couldn't. His presence pulled me in. Slow, steady, impossible to resist. "You don't have to answer me now," he added, "or tonight, or ever. I just needed you to know. Because waiting any longer, waiting in silence, it's unbearable." I felt tears prick the corners of my eyes, soft and quiet. Not sadness, not fear, but something deeper. Something that had been waiting for this acknowledgement for months. I feel the same," I whispered finally. "I've tried to ignore it, tried to push it away, but it's impossible. I've wanted you more than I should." His hand shifted slightly, resting near mine, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from him. Not demanding, not forcing, just present, real, safe. "I know," he said, voice barely above a whisper, and that's all I needed to hear. We stayed like that for a long moment, hearts pounding quietly, breaths mingling, words unnecessary. Because for the first time, the truth was out, and nothing would ever feel ordinary again. I leaned back slightly, trying to catch my breath, though my chest felt tight with anticipation. "You make it sound so easy," I whispered, almost accusingly. "Like loving you should be simple. But it isn't." He chuckled softly, a low, intimate sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Love is never simple," he admitted, "but it doesn't have to be complicated either." I stared at him, feeling the tension between us thrum with every heartbeat. The air around us seemed to pulse, charged with something neither of us could, or wanted to, ignore. "I'm afraid," I said finally, voice trembling. "Afraid that if I let myself feel completely, I'll lose myself." He reached out, just enough for the tips of his fingers to brush mine. Not grabbing, not claiming. Just there. Present. "Real. You won't lose yourself," he said softly. "Not with me. I won't let that happen. I want to protect you. Not from love. From fear." The way he said it made my chest ache in ways I hadn't thought possible. His hand lingered. Near mine, a quiet promise. And my walls, the ones I had built so carefully, started to crumble. I don't know if I can trust that, I admitted. Not with my heart. Not with... My words faltered. Not with us. You can, he said, tilting his head slightly, his eyes locking on mine. Because whatever this is, it's real. And I'm not leaving it to chance. Not now. Not ever. I swallowed, heart racing. He was so sure, so grounded. Every word, every look, every subtle gesture of his made me feel like I had been waiting for this exact moment my whole life. I've been trying to fight it, I said, trying to pretend I didn't want this, pretending I could walk away without thinking about you every second. His smile was gentle, patient, almost indulgent. And yet, here you are, still resisting, and yet still here. I'm scared, I whispered, letting the vulnerability slip in, letting him see me entirely. Scared that feeling this, wanting this, will hurt me more than I can bear. He leaned forward slightly, careful, deliberate. Then let me share it with you, he said softly. Let me make it easier. Not by changing what you feel, but by being with you. By holding you steady when your heart races. By being the calm when the fear rises. I felt my lips part, my pulse hammering in my ears. The warmth of his presence wrapped around me like a shield, like a promise. You make it sound so certain, I murmured, almost to myself. Because it is, he said. I don't doubt us. Not for a second. And I'll wait as long as it takes for you to feel the same. The room seemed to shrink until it was just the two of us, breathing, heartbeats sinking, fingers brushing, words suspended in the space between us. I realized then, with startling clarity, that fear had no place here. Not when certainty looked like him, not when wanting looked like us. And slowly, carefully, I let myself lean just a fraction closer, not surrendering, not yet, just trusting. The room felt smaller now. Somehow every sound, the soft hum of the city, the faint ticking of the clock, seemed louder, sharper, more intimate. He leaned slightly forward, just enough that our knees nearly touched. Not bold, not demanding, just near. I can't stop thinking about your hand, he said softly, voice husky with emotion. Even now, just seeing it near mine, it feels like it belongs there. I swallowed hard, my fingers curling lightly around the edge of the couch. I wanted to pull back. I wanted to insist that I wasn't ready. But every instinct in me whispered the opposite. You make it sound inevitable, I said, voice trembling. Maybe it is, he replied, calm, steady, certain, because no one else matters right now. Only this. Only you. His gaze held me, warm and unwavering. My chest tightened. Every part of me ached to close the space, to let my hand brush against his. Slowly, carefully, like testing something fragile and precious, I shifted slightly, almost imperceptibly. His eyes followed, patient, attentive, encouraging without pressing. My fingers brushed against his, barely, a whisper of contact. But the electricity it sparked made me catch my breath. He didn't move away. Didn't take more than I gave. He simply let it happen. Steady, deliberate, like he had all the time in the world. You feel that too, I whispered, barely audible. Every second, he said. The warmth of his hand near mine, so close that it could brush mine at any moment, was almost unbearable. My pulse raced. My breath caught. I don't know if I can do this, I admitted, voice soft, almost lost in the room. Feeling this close, wanting you like this. He leaned forward just a fraction, close enough that our faces were inches apart, but careful not to cross the line I wasn't ready for. Then let's not do it all at once, he said softly. Just this. Being near each other, feeling it, understanding it, letting it grow naturally. I nodded, heart hammering. The space between us seemed to shrink even further. And yet, he respected it. Never pushing, never demanding. Just present. I let my hand rest fully against his now. A small tentative contact, but enough to make me tremble. I've wanted this for so long, I whispered, voice shaking. I know, he said, and now you have it. Slowly, gently. No rush, no fear, just us. The room faded away, the city, the clock, everything but him. And in that quiet, deliberate moment, I understood something completely. I wanted more. Not reckless more. Not dangerous more. Just more of this. More of him. More of being seen, noticed, and understood. His eyes held mine, steady and unshakable, and for the first time, the tension didn't feel scary. It felt inevitable. Because sometimes the closest touch doesn't need boldness. Sometimes it just needs patience. And he had all of it, all for me. The room had fallen into a quiet rhythm. Not the kind of silence that felt empty, but one that wrapped around us like a soft, warm blanket. I could hear the faint ticking of the clock, the distant hum of the city, and the steady cadence of his breathing. It was intimate, private, our little world. You know, he began softly, almost hesitantly. I never realized how much I'd miss small things until now. Small things? I asked, tilting my head. The way you talk when you're thinking out loud, he said. The way your fingers tap lightly against your notebook. The way your eyes light up at the simplest things. I never noticed them until they were gone. I felt warmth bloom in my chest. Hearing him speak like this, noticing things I had always thought were invisible, made me ache in a way I hadn't expected. I didn't leave to be noticed, I said softly. I left because I wanted to be free from all this, from feeling everything so deeply. You'll never lose that, he said gently, and neither will I. That feeling, the way we notice each other, it's ours. Not work, not roles, just us. I let out a quiet breath, leaning slightly closer, just enough that the space between us felt smaller, more intimate. Without crossing the line I wasn't ready to cross yet. He noticed. Of course he noticed. But he didn't move closer. He simply let the moment exist, letting me choose the pace. That consideration, that patience, made my heart ache and swell all at once. I never realized how much I needed this, I whispered, even before I left. You always did, he said softly. Even when you thought you didn't. Even when you tried to hide. My fingers brushed his hand again, just lightly, testing the connection. He responded subtly, allowing me control, giving me the comfort of choice. Being this close, I said, voice trembling slightly. It's overwhelming, in the best way. He smiled, quiet, intimate, like he was letting me in without ever pushing. It should be, because it's real, because you're real, and these moments, they belong to us. I felt a shiver run through me, not from fear, but from recognition, from understanding that this closeness, this deliberate, gentle intimacy, was everything I had been craving. Moments like this, I said softly, make me want to stay, even when I thought leaving was the only way. Then stay, he whispered, leaning slightly closer, not touching, not demanding, just there. Not because you have to, not because it's expected, but because you want to, because this, us, feels right. I nodded slowly, heart pounding. For the first time in months, I felt safe letting myself want him. Want this, want us. And as our hands hovered near each other, just shy of contact, I realized something undeniable. The quiet moments mattered more than grand gestures. The gentle touches mattered more than words. And him mattered more than I had ever allowed myself to admit. He shifted slightly, leaning back but keeping his eyes locked on mine. There was a quiet intensity there, a kind of honesty that made my chest tighten. "I haven't told anyone this," he said softly, voice steady but tinged with emotion. "Not like this. Not about how I feel about you." My breath caught. I wanted to tell him I understood, that I felt the same. But even as I opened my mouth, words failed me. "I've tried," he continued, "to act like it's nothing. To pretend that noticing you, caring about you, wasn't everything. But it is. It's everything." I felt my fingers curl lightly around the edge of the couch, holding on to something, anything, so I didn't move away. "I thought I could manage it," he said quietly. "That I could stay professional, keep my distance, and ignore this connection. But the truth is, I can't. I don't want to. Not anymore." The honesty in his voice, the way he admitted it without hesitation or arrogance, made my heart ache. This wasn't a confession to boast. It was a truth he couldn't hide. I don't know what to say," I whispered, voice barely audible. "I didn't expect this. Not like this." "You don't have to say anything," he said softly, a small, intimate smile tugging at his lips. "Just listen. Just know. And maybe feel it too." I did feel it. Every word, every glance, every quiet, deliberate pause he gave me. I felt it deep in my chest, spreading warmth through me, making the room shrink until it was just the two of us. "I've wanted this," I admitted finally, voice trembling slightly. "I've wanted you. Since the first day I realized you noticed me. But I was afraid. Afraid that letting myself feel it would make everything too complicated." "Complicated isn't always bad," he said gently. "Sometimes it's exactly what's worth feeling. Sometimes it's everything." I looked at him, studying the calm certainty in his expression, the warmth in his eyes, the steady patience that made me want to trust him completely. "I don't want to hide how I feel anymore either," I whispered. "But it terrifies me." "I know," he said. "And that's why I'll be gentle. Because loving someone isn't about rushing. It's about showing up. Every time. No matter what. And I'll show up for you. Always." The words wrapped around me like a blanket, soothing yet igniting. I let my hand inch closer to his, hovering just above his. He didn't move. He let me set the pace, giving me control, letting me feel safe. "You feel it too, don't you?" he asked softly, his voice low, almost a whisper. I nodded, unable to speak, letting the trembling honesty of my heart show itself without words. He leaned forward slightly, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from him. His hand hovered just near mine, patient, inviting, but not forcing. And in that moment, I realized something undeniable. Love didn't need grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It needed truth, patience, presence. And in that quiet room, with his hand near mine and his eyes never leaving mine, I understood that I had found it. I shifted slightly, trying to find a safe distance, though my chest betrayed me. "You make it sound so easy," I said softly, almost accusingly. "To feel this, to want this, to trust. I don't know if I can." He didn't move, didn't pressure me, just stayed still, patient, letting me speak the fear that had been quietly sitting inside me for months. "Then don't," he said gently. "You don't have to trust it right away. You don't have to trust me right away. You just have to feel it and see where it goes." I looked at him, heart pounding. He made it sound so simple, so logical, And yet the ache in my chest told me otherwise. Every instinct told me to pull back, to run, to hide. But part of me, a louder, braver part of me, wanted to reach for him. "I don't know if I can handle being this close to someone," I whispered. "Not when it feels like everything." "I understand," he said quietly. "I don't want you to handle it all at once. That's not love. That's pressure. And this isn't about pressure. It's about honesty. It's about choice. Your choice, every step of the way." His calm certainty made my chest ache. There was no arrogance in his voice, no demand in his gaze. Just devotion. Pure, unwavering devotion that made me want to believe him completely, even though I was terrified. "I want to believe you," I admitted, my voice soft. But what?" he asked gently. "But I'm afraid," I whispered. "Afraid that wanting you this much, that letting myself feel it, will leave me broken if I'm wrong." He leaned forward slightly, careful, deliberate, giving me space yet closing the distance just enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from him. "Then let me show you," he said softly. "Let me prove it. Not with words, not with promises you can doubt, but with presence, with patience, with attention, with every quiet, steady moment until you trust it, until you trust me." I let my fingers inch closer to his, almost brushing against his. He didn't take my hand. He let me decide the pace. That patience, that respect, made my heart swell in ways I hadn't thought possible. "You'll wait?" I asked softly. "Even if it takes forever?" "I'll wait," he said. "Not because I have to, not because it's convenient, but because you're worth it. You, and every bit of hesitation, every fear, every heartbeat that belongs to this moment." My breath caught. His devotion was quiet, understated, but stronger than anything I had imagined. It wrapped around me like a protective embrace, making me feel safe enough to finally lean closer, though still cautiously, testing the waters of trust. "Then maybe I can try," I whispered. "That's all I need," he said softly, his eyes never leaving mine. "One step at a time. One heartbeat at a time. And I'll be here, always." And in that quiet room, with the city lights flickering faintly outside, I realized something undeniable. Trust didn't need to be instantaneous. Love didn't need to be rushed. And his devotion, his steady, unwavering devotion, was enough to make me believe in both. The room felt softer now, warmer, as if it had adapted to our presence. I sat on the couch, legs tucked under me, my hands resting lightly in my lap. He stayed across, from me, near enough that I could sense the warmth radiating from him, yet careful to let me have my space. "You feel calm," I whispered, almost to myself. He tilted his head, a small, knowing smile playing on his lips. "Calm? Yes," I said softly. "Even with everything. Even after tonight. I feel calm when I'm here with you." His eyes softened, and he leaned forward just slightly, careful, deliberate. "That's how I want it to be," he said. "No rushing, no pressure, just presence, just us." I let out a small laugh, quiet and intimate, the kind that slips past defenses without warning. "Presence," I repeated. "Sounds simple, but it's rare." "It's rare," he admitted, "but worth it. Because moments like this, they matter more than all the chaos outside, more than everything else." I shifted a little closer, our knees almost touching. He didn't move, just let me come closer in my own time. The simplicity of it, the quiet, shared space, the mutual awareness, made my heart beat faster than any grand declaration ever could. I never realized, I whispered, how much I've been craving this. Just quiet, being noticed, being understood. He smiled softly. And yet it's been right in front of you all along. I lifted my gaze, meeting his eyes, feeling the intensity and warmth there. I didn't want to admit it. Not to myself, not to anyone. But I've wanted you. Us, for a long time. He didn't rush, didn't overwhelm. He simply let his hand hover near mine, close enough that I could feel the faint warmth, the promise of contact without pressure. I've felt the same, he said quietly. Every day, every hour. Even when I didn't say it. Even when I tried to hold it back, the honesty in his voice wrapped around me. Stronger than any touch, more intimate than any words I'd ever heard. I felt safe, and yet my pulse raced, knowing how close we were. I shifted slightly, letting my fingers brush against his. Not boldly, not demanding, just tentative, careful, exploratory. He responded subtly, letting me take the lead, letting me feel control, letting me trust him without a single word. You make it feel easy, I whispered, even though it's not. That's because it's real, he said, because it's honest, because it's ours, and I'll keep it that way for as long as you'll let me. I exhaled slowly, letting the words sink in. The quiet, the closeness, the gentle attention. It was everything I had been craving. And now, finally, I could feel it fully. Not the chaos, not the fear, not the hesitation. Just us, together, in a moment that belonged only to us. And for the first time that night, I realized I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go back. I just wanted this. Him, us. Here. I let myself breathe. Really breathe. Not the shallow, guarded breaths I'd been taking for months, but a full, steady exhale that seemed to release everything I had been holding in. He watched me quietly, calm and patient, like he knew I needed this moment. Like he had been waiting for me to allow it. I began, voice soft, almost vulnerable. I don't usually let myself feel like this. Not completely, not with anyone. His gaze softened, steady and unwavering. I know, he said gently, and I wouldn't want you to force it. Only let it happen, in your own time, at your own pace. The way he said it made my chest ache. Not from longing, not from desire, but from recognition. He understood me, not my words, not my surface self, but me. I've tried to resist, I admitted quietly, telling myself to stay away, to protect my heart, to not depend on someone like this. Dependence isn't weakness, he replied softly. It's trust, and I want to earn that trust. Slowly, carefully, every single day if you'll let me. I felt my shoulders relax, the tension I hadn't realized I'd been holding melting away. Slowly, I shifted closer, letting my hand rest lightly near his. He didn't move closer. He didn't reach for me. He simply allowed me the space to choose. I'm scared, I whispered, voice barely audible. Scared that if I let myself, I'll never be able to go back. And if you can't go back, he asked softly, leaning forward slightly, then maybe you don't need to. Maybe you only need to be here, with me, in this moment. The warmth in his words, the patience in his gaze. It was intoxicating. I wanted to pull back, to protect myself. But every instinct in me, every quiet desire I had been denying, pushed me forward instead. I want this, I said finally. I want to stay, even if it's scary, even if it's everything. He smiled, just the smallest intimate curve of his lips, and it hit me harder than any grand gesture ever could. Then stay, he whispered, with me, here, now. No expectations, no demands, just presence, just us. I exhaled slowly, letting the words sink in. The city outside faded. The clock faded. Everything faded. All that existed was him and me. I shifted again, this time allowing my fingers to brush lightly against his. He responded subtly, letting me feel the warmth, the steady reassurance of his presence, without ever forcing a single thing. "I trust you," I admitted softly. "Even if just a little. But it feels right." "That's all I need," he said quietly. "One small step at a time, one heartbeat at a time, and I'll be here. Always." I felt my heart swell with a mixture of relief, anticipation, and quiet longing. For the first time in months, I allowed myself to simply be, to stay, to feel, to trust. And in that moment, I realized something undeniable. I didn't have to run. I didn't have to resist. I could just stay with him, with us. And that was enough. I felt his presence more than ever. Not just in the room, not just near me, but in the space, between us, in the silence, in the shared breath. "You feel different," he whispered, almost to himself. "Calmer, open." I swallowed, my heart hammering. "I think I'm letting myself," I admitted. "Letting myself feel it. All of it." He shifted slightly closer, careful, deliberate, giving me room but also drawing me into him. Not with force, not with urgency, but with intention. Every movement, every glance, every measured breath said one thing: patience, presence, understanding. "I've been waiting for this," he said softly, voice low and intimate. "To be close to you. Not just near you, but like this. Really here. Really present." I let my hand hover near his, unsure, tentative, not daring yet to close the gap fully. He noticed, of course, but didn't push. He let me choose the pace, letting me feel control, letting me trust him without question. "I don't want this to be rushed," I whispered. "I don't want it to feel like a step I can't take back from." "Then don't think about that," he said softly. "Think about this moment, just this, just us, and let everything else wait." I exhaled slowly, letting the words settle. My fingers inched closer, brushing lightly against his hand. Not boldly, not demanding, just a touch, tentative, fragile. And he responded, not by closing the space, not by claiming it, but by letting me feel the warmth, letting me take the step on my own. "I've wanted this for so long," I admitted, voice trembling slightly. "But I was scared. Scared I'd lose myself if I let it happen." "You won't lose yourself," he said softly, eyes never leaving mine. "Not with me. I'll be here. Every step, every heartbeat, every hesitation, I'll hold it steady for you." His words wrapped around me like a shield, making me feel safe enough to finally let go of the last bit of fear. I shifted fully closer, letting my hand rest against his. He didn't move away. He didn't take more than I offered. He just let me stay, let me feel, let me trust. "I trust you," I whispered, "more than I thought I could." "And that's enough," he said softly. "More than enough." The room seemed to fade. The city outside, the ticking clock, the rest of the world, all of it, disappeared. There was only us, only the quiet, intimate connection that had been building since the moment he appeared at my door. And in that moment, it wasn't about longing or desire anymore. It wasn't about hesitation or fear. It was about being present, fully, completely, with each other. I realized then, with a clarity that made my chest ache, that this closeness, this intimacy, this trust was ours, truly ours. And for the first time, I didn't want to hide. I didn't want to resist. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to stay, with him, with us, completely. The quiet between us had transformed. It wasn't empty anymore. It was full of warmth, of anticipation, of moments neither of us had dared to name out loud. I felt my hand resting against his, and for the first time I let it linger. Not shyly, not hesitantly, but with a quiet confidence I hadn't known I possessed. "You feel different," he whispered, voice low, intimate. "Like you're letting go." "I think I am," I admitted softly, letting myself feel it, all of it, even the parts I was afraid of. His eyes softened, and he leaned just a fraction closer, careful, deliberate, not crossing boundaries, just existing closer. So close that I could feel the warmth radiating from him. The faint brush of our legs against each other sent a shiver through me, subtle but undeniable. "You don't have to rush," he said gently. "Not words, not touch, not even this closeness. Just presence. Being here with me. That's enough." I nodded, though my heart pounded. Presence. That simple word carried so much weight, so much meaning. It was a promise, a tether, something steady in a world that had been anything. But slowly I let my fingers inch closer, brushing against his hand. A tentative touch at first. Fragile, but electric. He didn't pull away. He didn't force. He just allowed me to feel, to explore, to choose. Every subtle shift of his body, every breath, every blink, told me he was here, fully, completely. "I've wanted this," I whispered, "being this close, feeling this connection." "I know," he said softly, "and now you have it. Slowly, carefully, step by step, touch by touch." Breath by breath, the way he spoke made my chest ache, a combination of longing, relief, and anticipation. I let my hand rest fully against his now, feeling the heat, the steady pulse of life beneath the skin. "I never realized," I murmured, "how much a touch can mean." "Not just the touch," he whispered, leaning ever so slightly closer. "The presence, the intention, the honesty, that's what matters. And this, right here, is ours. Nothing else." My breath caught as I realized he was speaking the truth. Not just words, not promises, but reality. The quiet, intimate reality of two people letting themselves exist together. Fully, without fear. I shifted a little closer, and he mirrored me, just enough that our legs touched more solidly, our hands near each other, our energy mingling. No grand gesture, no urgency, just closeness. And in that closeness, I felt everything, every longing, every hesitation, every heartbeat that had been racing silently for months. I looked into his eyes, letting the intensity of the moment settle over us. "I want this," I whispered. "Then take it," he said softly. "Every moment, every touch, every breath, with me. And know, I'll be here. Always." And I did. Because some moments don't need words. Some touches don't need explanation. Some hearts just know. The world outside ceased to exist. It was just us. Just the quiet room, the faint glow of the city lights spilling through the window, and the rhythm of our hearts. I felt his hand near mine again, hovering just above, patient, deliberate, waiting for me to make the first move. I did, slowly, letting our fingers intertwine. The connection was electric, subtle but undeniable, a quiet intensity that made my pulse race. "You're trembling," he whispered softly, voice low and intimate. I faltered, not knowing how to describe the mix of fear and anticipation swirling inside me. "I can't help it." "Then don't," he said, just as softly. "Let it happen. Let it be what it is. Not more than you can handle. Not less than you want. Just this." I swallowed, my heart hammering. Slowly, I shifted a fraction closer, leaning into the warmth, radiating from him. He didn't move away. He didn't take control. He simply existed there, steady, strong, letting me feel the safety in his presence. "I never thought I'd feel this," I whispered, So close, so connected, and not scared. Not really. Because it's real, he said softly. Not forced, not rushed, just us, fully present, fully honest, fully here. My breath caught. His words wrapped around me like a shield, and yet inside, something else, stirred, a longing I hadn't let myself acknowledge fully until this moment. I let my other hand brush against his, fingertips tracing lightly over the back of his hand. He mirrored me, just enough, letting our hands meet naturally, deliberately, without pressure. You have no idea, I murmured, how long I've wanted this, even before tonight, even before you. I think I do, he whispered, leaning ever so slightly closer, close enough that I could feel his warmth. And I've been waiting, patiently, quietly, because it matters, because you matter, and because some things are worth waiting for. I felt a shiver run through me, not from fear, but from recognition, from understanding that this, the connection, the closeness, the subtle electricity, was something neither of us needed to force. It simply existed. I trust you, I said softly, heart racing. Completely. And I'll never give you a reason not to, he replied, voice low, steady, unwavering. Every heartbeat, every breath, every quiet moment, I'll be here. For you, for us, always. The quiet hung between us, intimate and electric. I shifted slightly closer again, our faces just inches apart now, breaths mingling, hearts pounding in sync. No words were necessary. The intensity of our gaze, the brush of our hands, the shared warmth of our presence spoke volumes. For the first time, I realized the truth fully. I didn't want to hide. I didn't want to resist. I didn't want anything but this. And in that shared, quiet moment, I knew something undeniable. This was more than attraction, more than longing, more than desire. This was ours, completely, fully, forever if we chose it, and I did. The room felt suspended in time. Every sound from the city outside was distant, muted, unimportant. All that mattered was the space between us, the quiet rhythm of our breaths, the subtle electricity lingering in the air. I could feel him, every inch of him calm, patient, unwavering. And for the first time, I felt no hesitation in letting myself fully exist in this closeness. I can't believe this, I whispered softly, fingers brushing against his. That I feel this. That we're here. We are, he said gently, voice low and intimate. And we'll stay here, as long as we choose. Every step, every heartbeat, every quiet moment. I let myself lean into him, just slightly, letting the warmth of his presence wrap around me. His hand found mine, and I didn't pull away. Not for a second. The connection was steady, grounding, a promise spoken without words. I've never felt anything like this, I admitted, voice trembling slightly. Not with anyone. Not ever. Neither have I, he said softly. And that's why I won't let it go. Not now. Not ever. I felt my chest tighten. His gaze, steady and unwavering, made me feel seen. Truly seen. For the first time in my life. Every fear, every doubt, every hesitation I had carried melted under the weight of his quiet certainty. I trust you, I whispered, completely. And I trust you, he replied, completely. And I'll prove it every day. Not with grand gestures or dramatic words, but with presence, with patience, with devotion, with every moment we share. I shifted slightly closer, letting our foreheads touch, just barely. The warmth between us was electric, intimate, and yet safe. I could feel his steady heartbeat against mine, sinking, grounding, promising. Forever, I murmured almost to myself. If we choose it, he said softly, answering the unspoken question in my heart. Forever. If we choose it together, I smiled, closing my eyes briefly. Choosing felt natural. I didn't hesitate. I didn't question. I simply leaned into him, letting the quiet intimacy, the steady devotion, the shared warmth become our anchor. I choose it, I whispered. I choose it, he said, his hand tightening gently around mine. The world outside could wait. The chaos, the demands, the noise, all of it could fade. Because here, in this quiet, intimate space, we had found something unshakable. Something honest, something steady, something entirely ours. Every hesitation had dissolved. Every fear had melted. Every moment of doubt had been replaced by certainty. And as we held each other, breathing in sync, feeling the quiet electricity between us, I knew without a doubt that this was the beginning of everything. Everything we had been waiting for, everything we had been afraid to feel, and everything we would choose together, forever. Thank you for staying with me through every heartbeat, every whispered secret, every quiet moment between us. If this story touched you, if it made your heart race, or made you feel something you can't quite put into words, then don't let this be the last time. Subscribe now, so you won't miss a single chapter of passion, desire, and love that lingers long after the story ends.